That's right, that's right. This is What's Good, Phoenix. This is Awer and DJ Tranzo.
Yay.
What's good, what's good? We have a special guest today in the building. We got Adam Vigil. What's going on, brother?
Not too much, brother. Good to be here.
Nice to have you, brother. I'll tell you, how's your week going, man?
It's going good, man. Got one more day left if I don't work Saturday, so we should see, but it's always all good.
Word,
We
man.
get you closer. Yeah.
Word, is this better?
Yeah.
All right.
How about me, brother? How do I sound? You sound real good.
Sound real good, yeah.
So check it out, man. Thank you for coming onto the podcast, man. A little bit before we started, just kind of telling you a little bit of our platform where we're interviewing misfits, gems, and legends, and you being one of them. I'm super excited, man, and this is coming from the heart of how you inspired me, man, as a young artist, as a young kid, man, growing up, seeing graffiti, falling in love with it, and just being inspired, man, by your art and not necessarily you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about this before on These Fools podcast. Shout out to These Fools.
Shout out these fools.
A little bit of, who you are and what you mean to me. But what I also want to do is let everyone know, like our listeners, like, what you mean to me, and then everything you've done, all your accomplishments, and how you've inspired, like so many artists, whether it's through graffiti, through music, just your energy, man, your good energy, man, how you've just been just there as a big brother for me all these years, man. And until I finally got to meet you, you know what I mean? And work with you and stuff like that. It was just an amazing, collaboration. And I'm honored to have you here, man. You know what I mean?
Right on, man. I appreciate being here, but don't forget, bro, we worked together at KB, bro. So
Yeah,
the KB warehouse, that's like before
Yeah.
anything. That was the beginning of not the beginning of the art thing, but just
Yeah.
I was really starting to get into it then and after then. But
Yeah.
we met a long time ago, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. So one of the stories is I worked at KB Toy Store back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Which
And,
one?
The one on
The warehouse on
the warehouse.
Buckeye.
Yeah.
On 43rd.
Yeah. So I was working there already, and it was crazy because there was a few other artists there. There was yourself, and then there was Moises that worked there, and we're all just pulling orders and shit. You know what I mean? Just hanging out. It was a trip, man. But it was crazy, man, because there were times when we were all sitting together, we're on lunch or whatever. If you start to look back at those times, we were all sketching and drawing, whether it was on napkins or papers or talking about art and things like that. So it was amazing to see that. You know what I mean? How far.
And all three of you just happen to be working.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just
Just works out like that.
Yeah.
it just worked out. The timing. It's all
Yeah.
timing.
And one of the stories that I've shared when I was younger, man, I found this wall, and here's my question, man. The wall that you used to paint that was out there in 43rd, was that your grandmother's house?
The 41st wall?
41st, yes.
Yeah, no, it was my neighbor's wall.
Oh, it was your neighbor's
My
wall.
neighbor had that wall, and they kept getting tagged up. And he goes, "Man, you should just paint something on it. Maybe they stop tagging my wall." So
Wow.
I did that, and then it ran for a long time. It ran for a really long time. I would always paint over. If somebody came by and tagged it, I'd touch it up. It didn't matter. But that's where having that as a canvas, as an opportunity, I really got to go in. This
Yeah.
is before there was specialty caps and people were making their own fat caps, hollowing out tips and doing different stuff, using different techniques. But I always just use the typical Krylon cap, the old school cap, get that big blister on your finger.
Yeah.
So that was,
I remember that mural when I was in high school because I lived on 39th in Cancel.
Okay, so yeah, you're right there. Yeah.
So, I would pass by it all the time. And, I didn't meet you at the time, but people were like, that's Adam Bomb.
Yeah.
That's how it was like hood famous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Famous. Yeah,
And I remember as a kid, I would think that there was something there every month. I would just always be like, "Yo, Mom, take me by the wall. I ain't going over there no more." You know what I mean? So from what I remember, correct me if I'm wrong, I do remember a little kid. He had like a brown bag on his head.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that. And then I do remember an Ice Cube portrait that I think the Grime might have done on there. I'm not too sure.
I got all the clippings, man.
You do?
Yeah, my buddy had. Actually, Javier Soto's got them. I left them over there at News Channel 3 one day. We did an interview. And he's got them. But, yeah, we got the news clippings. My boy George, he saved them for me. He had his own photos, and he had a little put away in a book for me. And then when I saw him in Denver a few years ago, he gave them to me. He's like, yo, bro, look what I saved for you.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah, and it's got the new one. I did a news article with the Gazette, so there was something in there with that and talking about the graffiti and pictures of the vatos in the corner with the wall getting tagged, and they were just trying to promote me to get to clean up some of the gang graffiti and just do more murals. But at that time, it was crazy.
Was that your first mural?
Those were nah. Well, you know what? Yeah, that probably was my first mural. I've always done stuff in the backyard of my house, like messing around. But when I really got into graffiti, like in 7th grade, that's when I was like, yo, going to the, taking the bus to the library, go checking out spray can art, the book,
Wow.
and then going home and just emulating that. And one of my buddies moved from Brooklyn, and he was showing me some of his skills, some of his techniques and what it was. And I was like, oh, that's dope. And then one morning we were just riding our bikes down the canal, doing some old kid exploring shit. And I seen these dudes on 75th Avenue in Indian School. They were in the canal back there, and they was maybe about like 12 feet long. Nah, probably like 15, 20 feet long. It was really big, and it said positive, and it was probably like 4 feet high. And it had a B-boy at the end of it. And I just remember seeing these dudes, and it looked exactly like the stuff in the book. And it was like, yo, these guys got to be from New York. So I started talking to him. His name was Per One. And he was from New York, and he was just dope. And they had a crew that him and 2 other dudes from here. Mm-hmm. And that really turned me on to the whole graffiti thing. But the one thing that I did, take away from all that, when you start rolling with his crews and individuals, it's like that's what they had a crew, DIE, down in Elevation. Yeah. Then, that was before tagging already had existed, but it was really before anything else had popped off crazy with tagging. And you get to see how people react. You get and it doesn't matter what kind of crew. It's like you can have 3 guys that are just doing murals. You can have 3 guys that are just doing letters and tagging. I'm real character driven, so it was always wanted to roll with the crew that was doing characters or something like that. But people are automatically associate you with them. So it's just like that. I always try to stay away from that, like having to be a part of a crew or something like that. It was always individually, like you got to be your own thing, because it was with gangbang. It's similar to gangbanging for me. So if you were from my neighborhood, which was Hollywood was right there. So if somebody said you were from Hollywood, like people say I lived in Hollywood, but they never say from Hollywood. Yeah. Because everybody knew I wasn't a gangbanger. I was just the dude who graffitied, who lived in the hood. Yeah. I grew up with all those vatos. Like they're the homies, but it was never like, I was never banging. I was never in a tag crew. I used to hang out with some of the people, like, we used to hang out with like a lot of crews back in the day, like just knowing everybody. So I kind of knew everybody from all across the city, and just never could really click up with any individual, because it was just like, nah, bro, I can't. I'm cool with these homies over here. I'm cool with those homies over there. I was like, when I'm there, it's us. It ain't about where I'm from. Yeah. So we did that, but then it gave me an opportunity to paint in different areas. So you got the homies on the east side, you got Little Wall, you got the homies on the north side, south side, whatever. Just go paint, and that's what it was. And having those small opportunities to do that, but I really that. Going back to that wall that was where I really stayed. I stayed there, so people knew. But it was kind of people knew where I was at, and I hate when people know where you're at. So,
so if people don't know what year was that, did you first do that wall?
See, I'm gonna tell my age right now. Damn, it's probably like.
It's got to be in the late 80s.
It's 87, 87,
something like
80,
that, right?
86,
like
87.
Mid late
my
80s.
brother graduated in 88 from Carl Hayden, and I was gonna be a freshman that year, and I was already graffitiing that wall when I was in 7th grade. So it was like 86.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was cool, man. But just having that wall, man, it's like blank sheet of paper. And then my dad always had paint. He made sure I had everything I needed. And they always encouraged me. Like they were like, we should try airbrushing. So I started trying the airbrushing, and you should try this, and I would try that. I just whatever I could to do. Anything I was making was art. Yeah. So it was an extension of the beginning of just being creative, like with the graffiti.
When I would see that productions like that, I would just think that it was you, until I started to figure out like when people were doing their pieces and they would just kind of throw their name up and stuff like that, and I started putting it all together, because as I started to get like familiarized with graffiti and having inspiration and stuff, I was getting it where I could. Just like you said, where you were taking the bus to go get check out a book or a magazine. Same for me. Whatever I was getting, it was either like magazines that I was printing off at someone's house. It was just in black and white copies and things like that. But I was just kind of getting where I can. And these were some of the, like your wall, that particular wall, for years, man, I would sit there and just try to like just process the whole thing. Like, how did he do this? I want to do this. So with that said, man, you know what I mean? It just for a youngin' man and putting everything together and meeting, because we didn't have social media at the time like we have Instagram, meeting people from everywhere, all around the world. It was just finding people where you could find them. But what I did know is I've always known, like, you've been an individual writer by yourself, you know what I mean, doing your own thing. So one of my biggest questions to you is, during that time when you started seeing like 90s graph here in Phoenix and how it started to, just like, just take over the streets and everything else, and you were painting and things like that, you were still just doing your thing, man. You know what I mean? Like, just painting, continuous in paint, while all this rivalry and all this tag bang and all this stuff was going on, and I got caught up in a little bit myself, you know what I mean? Where I had to like pull myself away from that and just really focus like on my art, you know what I mean? But one of the things I couldn't do is find you, you know what I mean? Or the people that I was admiring and, and inspired by, you know what I'm saying? So, so during that time, like after that wall, like what are types of things, were you doing, like, other than just walls and stuff? Were you getting into like any kind of canvases or?
No, I got heavy into the airbrushing. You know what I mean? That was it was a more detailed technique. So you know how it is with graffiti, man. Graffiti looks good from afar, but it's far from good.
You taught me that.
You know what I mean? It's just like you got to, and it's really depending on how big you're working, which really then you can get some really good details, because the tip of your cap or whatever you're using, that's what you're limited to. So when it got into airbrushing, the lines got thinner, the shirts got brighter, you know what I mean, the clothes, and it's just like the wall was whiter, and it's just everything. You could take your time, and it's something you can do inside, and the fumes and all that stuff. It wasn't so toxic as it was back then with the spray paint. Yeah. But I did a lot of that. I did a lot of flyers. I drew a lot of flyers for house parties. I remember those. I got a few of those. House party flyers. That was cool. That was like a little comic book, because I had a little platform to make something different at all the time. So, we
were talking about that, the house party flyers and the look and design of those.
Do you still have all yours?
Bro, you know what? Nah, man. I got people that text me images of my flyers. Oscar Gomez, shout out, man. OG Habit. Shout out. He sent me an image of like 4 flyers that I did for him when back in the day, because we used to roll deep. We go, if I do the flyer and Oscar was there, I already knew I got in free. I was at the keg. You know what I mean? The party was on. I'm behind the DJ booth. We're chilling. We're bumping. It's just like having a good time. So, I mean, you walk into a party and you're the dude that's affiliated with the flyer and then the music, and it's a good time, man. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
And that was like the beginning of hip hop too. So back and think about those 80s, bro, when that's the beginning. So hip hop was bumping. And
I remember, so like when we talked about that also, like there was like a change in time in the early 90s, and so I came on the scene DJing in the early 90s, but I know there was a whole bunch of DJs before me. So name like 3-4 DJs that were around that time.
DJ Bobby Hyman.
Wow.
Bobby Hyman.
Damn.
Point Blank. Oscar Gomez, DJ Shy.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who else? Dude, I could DJ Fade. There's so many homeboys that were DJing that were in AL3 was, you know what I mean? That's another
Shout
level
out.
right there. Shout out AL3. What's up, my brother? Hey, you know what I mean? Just who else? Like, dude, it was crazy. Everybody, there was a lot of DJ. Mark Ojeda.
Mark
Ojeda was DJ.
Damn.
Yeah, the homie Mark.
Wow.
Shout out Mark.
Yeah, shout out Mark right there. So, yeah, bro, it was just like, and it wasn't like I was just DJing and they were DJing and I was just doing the flyers. It's like you get to know people, and then you get to.
It was a community.
Yeah, exactly. You vibe with them fools, and you already know. And like Oscar was real. He's always been a perfectionist, but like he would just be like, "Hey, draw my flyer or do something like this and like that." And even when Point Blank and all those guys, when they would kind of do a flyer like this, so. It was cool, man. You get some direction, and it's good to have some direction when you're working with people, because then it's like a collaborative effort, and then it's like you're working with them on their art, and they're working with you on your art, and you walk in the party, bro, and it's like A-Bomb's in the house.
Yeah, you're part of it.
Yeah, dude. I remember I was in Vegas, bro. I was in Vegas like 9 years ago, and I was just by myself. Thought I was all cool, being quiet on the down low. I mean, I went to go see my homie out there. I go, I'm just going to dip into Treasure Island real quick and have a drink. Don't want nobody see me. I'm going to walk into the bar. And I go in, I sneak in, man. And I don't know. When I'm by myself, I could kind of finagle my way through the door. So I ended up getting past the door. The security guys hooked me up. I walk in. As soon as I step foot past like the little checkpoint, bro, AO3's on the mic. A-bomb in the house.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. And I was like, if I was like, man, I'm
Of all places to walk in, right?
Yeah, of all places to walk in. And I was like, man, I'm gonna have to turn around and get out of here. I was trying to be all incognito, and then Awer came through. He don't drink. He's a good man, so he bought me some drinks, and I stayed there for a while and hung out. And right when I walked in, it was like, who's this guy? A-bomb. Had the honeys, and everybody looking at me like, this guy just called me out. So I was like, cool.
Yeah, but that's that Phoenix love.
That's
you know?
that Phoenix, yeah, exactly. That's that Phoenix love in Vegas, like that, man. That was a good time. And it happens, man. It's like I've had just hip hop in general, man. Like we used to do the hip hop conferences here at Celebrity. You know what I mean? I got to meet Guru from Gangstar a couple times, and I actually seen him again in New York, and he rolled up on me, and he was like at the Roots album release party. He's all Adam, and I'm like, oh yeah, what's up, man? And like, I do Guru. He's like, I go, what you doing out here? I was like, oh, that's when I was in the music business, and I was like, oh, my boys are out here they're going to the meeting. I'm gonna just hang out here. I go, they just told me to wait here. Like, all right, I go, you here for the show? And I go, what show? He's like, the Roots show. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because the bar looked like it was just a narrow bar, and it was dark at the end, but at the very end it was double doors. You make a left.
I mean, the Roots. I mean,
yeah.
what,
and it was a big
amphitheater,
all mahogany amphitheater.
This had to be in the 90s, right?
Yeah, early 90s, and then we had some drinks, and actually I don't remember. I remember being so drunk that because they were drinking Hennessy, and they were like, here, you drink that, and I'm like, I'm Bud Light, bro. And turn the corner, and it's just like, wow, everything hits you. Like everybody's in there, it's packed. I didn't know there was another entrance because nobody was coming into the bar, but we had got into the back way. That my homeboys always had that access, so it was cool, man. We did that, and that was that's a great hip hop moment for me, just to be able to have that communication with that legend.
Oh
himself.
yeah,
like,
definitely,
yeah.
Guru.
That was Guru. Crazy.
Rest in peace, you know.
Yeah, rest in peace. So.
What I've always noticed, with even till this day, with all your art, and this, this is like someone that's admired your work for so long. You always keep the hip hop elements in all your art. B-boys, MCs, either characters, DJing, or something. You know what I mean? I can't tell you a time where I've walked in somebody's pad. You know what I mean? And maybe they had like a little DJ set up, whatever, and I'll catch one of your pieces on the wall, and I'm like, yo, that's Adam's piece. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. He gifted me that back in the 90s, or I got that. And I'm like, wow, damn. You know what I mean? So I've been in a lot of different places where I've seen that, where you just continuously, whether it's a character on the MC or spray painting or something, man. And I think that's awesome. Just keeping the culture alive through your art, man, through all the years, and continuing now. And I really like too, all the artwork that you've done with family, community, the different scenes, the very intimate scenes, man, of families uniting and getting together and stuff like that. So and just that. What is it called? Allegory, the style of art where you look at it, you know exactly what's going on. You can feel the love in the art. So that's really awesome. Yeah.
And that, just like the shirt you're wearing, like that shirt right there, that's inspired by my Love is Lane piece. That's one of the things I wanted to do. I was like, what can I do? What can I draw to bring, make people feel love at my shows? And it was just like when I did the Love is Lane show, it was that. It was just like, okay, what is this? It's 10 couples. You know what I mean? Like 10 guys, 10 girls, and you had to guess who was with who, and you know what I mean? And people would stay there, man. I had some other artists come up to me after the show, some really respectable artists. They go, this is amazing. She said, you got people to stay in the gallery, at Lalo's gallery he let me use that day. And it was crazy because that was like the perfect storm right there, the way that happened with Lalo. It was weird because I was like, man, I need to do something. I hadn't done nothing downtown in a while, and I got to do something in the community, kind of put it out there. And what do I want to do? And I was struggling with it.
So that was his spot on Roosevelt, right?
Yeah, he had Roosevelt, and I had been working on Lover's Lane. I had quit my job to do Lover's Lane. I took 6 months off. I painted 20 paintings, and then I did another 4 more of the couples cruising together, and then I was like, I need a place to show it. I got to figure it out. So I'm like, I don't know, man. So I was going to dinner by myself, like I always do, just to go get away and meditate, think, and I see Lalo outside painting, and I'm like, pull over. I'll say, what's up? Hey, how you doing, bro? Good. Sat there, chopped it up for like 20, 30 minutes as he was doing something. He was getting ready for another show that he was doing with Tato. And,
shout out Lalo, shout out Tato,
Yeah, exactly. And I got a crazy story about Tato too. But
Exclusive.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But and then I winded up and Lalo just said me like I was telling him, he asked me what I had going on. I said, I want to do this show called Lover Lane. I'm looking for a place to do it right now. It's only 20 pieces, but got merch, I got this, and he goes, why don't you do it here? He goes, I go, well, you tell me when. He goes, I'm ready. I got to get a couple things together. He goes, no, we'll make it happen. So Dato had something the following week, and then so he was like the next weekend or 2 weeks from then. All right, perfect. So winded up getting the spot, bro. Went over there, had the show. It was a success. It was my parents came. It was amazing. My brothers, my kids, and it was just a big family affair. But man, I think like 500-600 people turned down. We had cars cruising down Roosevelt, lowriders, bikes. We had
awesome
DJs.
show,
We had some. The homie was spinning. I can't remember. Man, shout out to the DJ that night. I don't even remember who he was, but he was spinning. He was spinning all 45s. That's what his gig was. He had 45s. He's just spinning 45s all night, and it was a great time, man. I got a great response. All those other artists checked in. Were like, yo, that's amazing. And people were staying. They were trying to figure it out. I had that little card that you can guess who goes with who. People were staying there. The couples were staying there
to the end. Find out
exactly.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like what the Lover's Lane was?
Oh, Lover's Lane. So I did 20 vatos and 20 rucas that you had to figure out who went with who. So, and then there was the little sheet that you filled out, and it had like the picture. Okay, well, this guy's A, so A goes with her, and you just kind of go down the list to do that. So it was, I got a great response. I winded up taking it to San Diego, to Por Vida Cafe. We did it over there during La Huerte for that car show. And then we did it in Pomona with Dia de los Puercos. We did it over there during some event they were having there, but it was really good, man. It was a great time, a great response. I had like over 6,000 people, and we did it at the car show too. And we had over 6,000 people fill the forms out, and nobody got it right. So nobody got 10 out of 10. The most was 5. Really? Somebody from Phoenix got 5. Somebody from LA got 5.
So till this day, nobody's got 10 out of 10.
Nobody's got 10 out of 10.
Wow.
But it's just, and that's
Lover's Lane Part 2.
Yeah, make up to break up. That's what we're gonna do. Yeah, and then, what's crazy is I let my son. When I was painting those, like my son, he's 11 now, but he has autism, so he's an artist. He's just really into art. So every time I was painting something, he'd sit there and he knew who went with who. So he made the list. So he's the one who made the list. So I didn't even get to pick the list. He goes, nope. He goes to her. He goes to her. He goes to her. So that's how I kept the list. So it was, and everybody's like, man, you would think that one went with that one because of the tattoos and this and that. I go, man, there's no rhyme or reason to why this happened. Because I encourage people to look at the different designs on the people to see if they would go together. And there was some that did, like the girl wearing the LA hat. There's a guy wearing the LA hat. People were like, oh, they go together, but it wasn't it. It was my son that put it together.
Wow.
How awesome that you can have them involved in that. Just that little bit is so impactful.
He painted something on every painting. He made sure when he come over here and he get a couple brush strokes in on each one of those.
Yeah, he's got his hands on every one of them.
And he named every one of them. So he has his little thing, and his memory is amazing.
That's great, man. That's really great.
Do you still have the originals, and then you have prints for sales?
Yeah, I got prints for sale on my website.
You keep all your originals?
Yeah, all the originals for that. I have got offered to buy the whole show, but that number's high. Yeah, so it's like I'm like. It's a whole show, and I don't feel like I'm done with it yet. I feel like I want to take it. My goal is to get it overseas. I want to go to Japan to the what's the name of the event? There's the Art Basel in Japan. So, but there's more exclusive stuff I'm finding out that we can do as well. There's a big Chicano community in Japan. My buddies just got back from there in the Philippines, so they were just kind of giving me some insight and telling me what's really going on. Yeah. So it's just like, yo, you got your passport? It's like, yeah. He goes, all right, get ready. I'm like,
get your passport ready.
Yeah. Get your
passport ready. I tell Adrian all the time, hey, passport ready.
I'm ready. Yeah. I got my stuff on point. Let's go.
It was a dope exhibition, man. When I went, it was very interactive. It kept me in there. Usually I'll look at a piece and for a little bit, but I caught myself like trying to figure it out. I'm like, and knowing like there's got to be some kind of like recipe to this or something that's probably in each one of them. I just couldn't figure it out. So I made it to like, I don't know, maybe the third or fourth one. I'm like, I just give up. You know what I mean? Well, other people were just, there was a lot of people in there,
cool.
man.
That's a cool point too. It's like, you would think the people who had all the tattoos would be together, but that's, it's just how your perception of how things should be.
And that's the thing about the show is like, if you look at, there's actually 11 women and 9 men, but I got one of the women on the men's side because looks like she's, more masculine because that's who she is. So then you look at it, it's like, oh, okay, so there's one of these women is a lesbian. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
people,
two of them.
yeah, exactly. Two of these women are lesbian, but they thought it would as a guy at first, but then they're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's real. That's real though.
Yeah, it wasn't. You know what I mean? And that was me embracing that community because I got family, my tia,
Yeah.
my cousins. You know what I'm saying? It's all good.
Everybody.
I love everybody.
Everybody.
And
Everybody
we're all human beings, bro.
Yeah.
I love the human race. I love extraterrestrials. I love whatever, man. It's just
No,
we're
I
all
feel
made
you.
of the same space dust. So
I agree,
it's all
man.
good energy and love, man.
Great show, man. I have another question too. So you took that time off of work for 6 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you did the show and stuff like that. So now you're already an artist, but now you're submerged in like, this is my exhibition. These are some, I'm following my passion. Did this kind of trigger, to become a full-time artist and just to kind of, follow your passion and follow your dream? You know what? I'm just going to do this full time and just fully submerge myself in my own artwork.
You know what? No, well, yes and no. There were too many signs leading to it. I just was getting frustrated at my current job situation. You know what I mean? Just high stress. You know what I mean? Good money, high stress.
Yeah.
And it was just like, at the end of the day, you need a break from that. And I wasn't feeling it. I didn't like the ethics of the company. And, I just decided to take some time off for my mental health. And I really did. I had to. I had always been reading some books, but just, having more time to meditate really changed a lot. It helped me get, my perspective of what I wanted to do. That whole time I was, figuring out what I wanted to do, but I was just painting. I was like, don't stop painting till it's done. Just keep painting. And that's what I was doing. I just painted. And when I finally got done with everything, I was like, okay, now I got to have a show. Lalo provided that.
Yeah.
So, that, and then seeing there was a success part of the show, and really like to see how successful it was, and to, not from a financial aspect at all, but from just, participation, the audience, the people who came out, what they, talked about, what I left behind and what I did for the community and what I did for the culture. And, that was a success. But what I did figure out that time taking off work and to, focus on being an artist full time is that inspiration is what keeps you going. And if you get a dry spell in art, and that dry spell can last for a while, your money's not coming in if you ain't doing it right.
Yeah.
So it was just, that was my thing, is like, you know what, I can dedicate myself to, 60 hours a week to a great paying 9 to 5 and put in my work overtime and with the art. And then, because when you're out in the world, having those experiences, working with other people in whatever platform you're in, if it's work, if it's, leisure, whatever, you're getting inspiration. You'll see somebody, I drive down Broadway a lot. Like, I'm just moved back to the South Side, and I drive down Broadway, and I got sketches in my head from the characters I see down Broadway.
Wow.
I seen a shirtless luchador in huaraches in his mask, taking his garbage out, smoking a cigarette through his mask at 5 a.m.
That's a character
on Broadway.
I believe you.
Yeah, for
I
real.
believe
Bro.
it.
You know what I'm saying? And it was just like, and
Yeah.
I got that. I actually sketched that one. I got those. So when my next show is gonna have those sketches, just gonna be called On Broadway. And
He's
just
got
have
Wow.
a mental photography,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
like-
crazy.
And that was my question too. Like, do you have like these ideas, man? They're just constantly coming to you and stuff.
No.
And is there a way? Is there a place where you go to get inspiration? Like, do you like travel? Do you like, I gotta go to the ocean? I gotta
No,
go
man,
South Mountain.
I get comfortable. I like, I mean, I'm not saying I'm an introvert, but it's just like, I like being home. I like enjoying my family. I like
Sure.
being around that. But I do. I force myself to go out. I go out. I mean, sometimes I feel
Yeah,
too
me too.
comfortable because there ain't no growth in the comfort zone. You got to be able to get out and go do what you want to do, and
Yeah.
to have those experiences. And that's when you're like, oh wow, this inspired me. Like when I go to Just Blaze, I just. The homie Ern, shout out to Ern, Just Blaze.
Shout out Ern.
Shout out, Just
got all
Blaze.
got all the cans and everything. It's just like, just going in and dealing with Ern. Ern, think about it. When I talk to Ern, I could just feel his enthusiasm and like how positive he is. But he's dealing with people all day, all walks of life. Either you're buying vape or you're buying cans and you're getting a tattoo, whatever's going on at Just Blaze.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you could tell it's just like,
There's always a lot going on.
yeah, exactly. So you
Yeah.
can, you know what I mean? And just Ern will tell me about things that are going on and what people think about the wall, because he let me paint the wall over there a few times. And, and it was just like, it's just like, dude, you can't help to be inspired when you get around those people. And it's just like, I stop myself because sometimes I don't go there unless I need paint because I'm so busy with everything else. But when I do make time to just go do social, calls and go meet people that I ain't seen in a while and just kind of go peek my head in, say what's up, and go talk to people, good things happen. Like I was doing that with Ziggy's, and I ended up getting doing the shirt with Adi, doing the collab over there. So, that was
Shout out Adi.
Yeah, shout out Adi right there.
That's one of my next questions too. Is Anybody's familiar with the mural that's up right now, it's on Just Blaze. It's on the west facing wall.
So was it 10th Street, right?
Yeah, 10th Street.
10th Street and
Camelback.
Camelback, yes. So what's your inspiration for that piece?
That's Lover's Lane. Anytime you see cruising people and like people looking like they love each other in a car, that's Lover's Lane. So I like the shirt you're wearing, like the Lover's Lane series. It's just about promoting love. That's what it is.
There's two individuals.
Yeah, I want to see people like look at something like, oh, that's that's a cute couple or whatever it is, just to inspire it differently, man. I'd rather you thinking about love than some of my former stuff when I had like rabbits with guns and all this stuff, stuff growing up. It was just like you're promoting that violence because we have to be real careful on what we allow these our youth to see. But and it's a family thing too. It's like people go out to the show. I had whole entire families out there. To infants to like grandmas and grandpas. The show was family friendly, and everybody, the elders get to talk to their, explain the whole, the concept of the paintings to their family and be like, oh, that's so heartfelt, and just to see it. And plus, there's people at the Lover's Lane show like, oh, that looks like my tío or that looks like my tía, and that goes on all day.
Bro, it looks like my dad.
Exactly. You got one in there that looks like your
Dude, no, the one that just blazed.
Oh, yeah.
When I pass by it, I always think of my dad. And I want to take him there and actually take pictures. I'm like, bro, every time I pass by him, I'm like, that's my dad, bro.
That's funny.
So, but and then my next question is, man, is with that collaboration with Just Blaze that's currently up right now, and you making the decision to be a full-time artist, I just saw an explosion, man. I saw your work everywhere, man, from Ziggy's to State 48, doing some collaborations with Working Class, currently the Phoenix Suns. Just amazing. Like, how do you like, I guess, do you think of these collaborations and just, and already kind of put these joints together?
You know what? It's just, this is how it works, but I'm going to correct you real quick because I never became an artist full time. I learned that I can devote my 40, 60 hours to a regular job to make my money so I can have that financial freedom. Because it's one thing to be inspired by your surroundings, and even if it's a hard surroundings, but when you have your ducks in a row and you got your money's right and your family's right and your living situation's right and you got money to buy paint, you got money to buy canvases, and you're operating on a whole nother level. So that's why I tell my kids, I was like, don't ever stop. I said, you ain't never gonna stop working. I said, get something you love to do that makes you a lot of money, and then do what you want to do. Like my daughter bakes. I'm like, okay, but you got to juggle those. You got to be able to do it.
To do both.
You got to do both. You got to make the time afterwards, grind for that extra. You know what I mean? So when you do something, it gets noticed. So you're doing the good things, and that's what it was. I wasn't reaching out. Like I just was doing stuff. Like for the Ziggy's thing, I just designed it and sent it to him. Like here you go, bro. I saw one. I was inspired by one of his shirts. I saw a video they posted, and it had a dude wearing this shirt, and it like had a car on it. I'm like, oh man, I could do my version of it. And that same thing with State 48. Like State 48 was the same way. It's just I saw the shirt, and I was like, why don't we have a Chicano one? And it took me like 3 weeks to get that shirt done. Just mentally put it together. And then I started drawing it. And then, and it just, they came to me. I just put it out and they came to me. Like same thing with Bobby Tribal. Tribal, that came to me. And then after I did the Ziggy's one, that's when the Sons came to me. They were like, hey, we want to do this. And
awesome.
It's just like, I feel you just got to keep doing, you and let everything fall in your lap and, recognize the opportunities. And like we were talking earlier, is we got to learn when to say no. Like so many times people hit me up, oh, you want to come paint live or can you do this? Like, nah. Like the fair. Like I'm no disrespect to anybody who painted at the fair. You guys are great and kicked ass. I loved everything. I went and walked it. I did that. But they wanted to pay a small amount of money and they want you to stay there for 8 hours. Like, and I was like, well, what if I get the piece done in 2? And well, we need you to stay there the whole hour. 8 hours. So you're basically the entertainment. I was like, for 8 hours? I'm like, I can't do it.
I saw that. I saw the audience too. There was like nobody sitting in the stands like every day. You know what I mean? That
so that's what I'm saying.
Painting.
And it was just like I had heard about it, and I felt like, man, I want to just go and participate, but I can't spend 8 hours at the fair. I don't spend 8 hours at the fair when I go to have fun. You know, and it was just that was it. So
that's true too. I make my opportunities. I don't wait for a lot of opportunities to come to me. Although some are given to me, it's awesome. I've had some things where I've had to, check the phone to see caller ID. Is this really happening? Is this person really calling me? So I've had those things as well. But like I was saying too, you got to know your worth. And recently I have been saying no to a lot of people because of these kind of situations where I'm seeing like what they're asking for and the time they're asking for you and the amount. You're like, wow, man, I got to go do this for a week straight, and I'm not even getting what I really want. So you kind of know where you need to be. You know what I mean? I learned that every time I'm with you. Always just knowing your worth and your artwork and your time and how important it is. Because I did see a lot of those guys, and shout out to all those guys they painted. But knowing the amount that I know too of how much they got paid and for how long they were there, and seeing all the videos of, you had 30 or 40 chairs on the audience and nobody's sitting there. The first thing I thought is, why don't they move this somewhere else? You know what I mean? Where there's more people, you know what I mean, that are around you. You could put up more of your business cards. I didn't see anybody. You have to have the opportunity to be able to sell prints, some canvases, and some other things too. I just inquired about, and this is crazy that we brought up the fair, but I just inquired about like having a space at the fair, right? And having a booth and set up, whether you're, like doing airbrush or whatever. It's $3,000, bro. $3,000 just to have that. You know what I mean? And that's something.
That's why they value it so high.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, bro.
Like we just gave you this whole section. You guys could perform there and paint. And like, okay, great, but you guys got to do a better job of promoting it. To get these people to sit there.
I'll get my money that you're going to give me, but I'm taking X amount too because I'm selling prints. I'm selling.
Exactly.
As well.
That's what it makes it worth it. I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was really time management.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I got more questions, man. I want to take it back a bit back to the 90s, dude.
Yeah.
So I remember, I remember the box.
The box.
And I remember the Boondocks.
Oh, yeah. How can you not?
I remember going to Swell and buying the Boondocks 12-inch at Swell. So shout out Rush, shout out Swell.
Yep. Eli's Records and Tapes.
And then
Circles Records and Tapes. Yeah.
Okay. And with the last few years, man, I actually came up on the album, and I can't remember exactly where, and I'm pretty good usually about where I get my records.
Yeah. I ordered one online about 5 years ago, and it came from Japan.
Yeah.
Like the packaging came from Japan. So somebody still owns the rights to it. Like that whole deal was crazy. Like that was, two Chicanos figuring out the music industry.
So let me get a little bit closer.
Right.
So the Boondocks, let's take it from the beginning. Like how did the Boondocks start? What year and who was all involved?
The Boondocks was the brainchild of Johnny Salcedo. He was Carl Hayden class president his senior year of 1998. He was my brother's best friend and my neighbor. So we grew up together. We grew up together since grade school. Same with AL3. All the cats that were music, we all had that music vibe. And
so 1998?
What do you mean for what? The Boondocks?
When the Boondocks.
Oh, you said 98, but you mean 88?
Yeah,
88.
I was like, okay, make sure I had it all right.
Yeah, so 88. And
this was just a few years after you started painting.
It was hip hop. It was all the movement of hip hop.
Yeah.
Like the graffiti went with the music went with the clothing went with the lifestyle. So we were just right there all in the mix of it. Like I wanted to do it all. I had to have, that jacket. I had to have this spray paint. I had to have, this vocal. I had to have, my first name was Kid Rap. And this is like when we were little, bro. This is like when I think I was 11 or 12.
Kid Rap?
Yeah, when we used to barely hear about, we were barely hearing about hip hop. And I remember it was like Scott LaRock, Schoolie D, all that old school stuff. And then when Beatbox came out with Unbreaking, that was it. That was it. That was everything for me.
We talk about that a lot in the podcast.
Yeah. And then, that was really what got, I see Johnny scene that I love it. Rest in peace, my man, of Johnny Two Guns. Yeah. So he was he saw that I liked it, and he liked that too. But people didn't know we were driving around listening to Depeche Mode. I was a skater. I had a backpack full of spray paint and a Ruger P189 9mm next to that, and just skating through neighborhoods and listening to Boys Don't Cry and The Cure.
Yeah. Same.
I think there was a lot of people who were listening
that
to
movie Dogtown came out.
Yeah.
We were all influential with Dogtown.
Yeah.
We watched
Dogtown. I remember that.
So I was a skating hip hop dude, and that's what it was. And my boy Johnny used to always see me, and he's like, "Hey man, I do music too," and started telling me he showed me some of the equipment he bought. He was buying recording equipment, and then he was just like, he disappeared after graduation. He disappeared, and he came back maybe 3 months later. He said, "Yo, I'm in Atlanta. You gotta come with me to Atlanta." And I was 16, 17, about to turn 17. He's just like, "Yo, let's go." Just all right. Flew me a ticket. I ain't never been on a airplane in my life. My first flight was 4 hours to Atlanta. So I get there, and we're in the studio with Tag Team. Shout out Steve Rowland.
Yeah.
we were out there they were making beats, they were making music. This is before they were tag teamed, and we were just all collaborating, making music, just sitting there, drinking, smoking, having a good. The same thing we were doing here, but we're doing it in Atlanta. I mean, this is before Outkast. This is beginning of Babyface and everybody else. But it was just a really weird music vibe out there. It was great. It was a great music vibe. I was gonna say weird, but it was weird because it wasn't what I was used to hearing in Arizona. The vibe. It was really wasn't a vibe. Before hip hop, it was all oldies for me. My neighbor grew up bumping oldies, so I was outside listening to oldies every day. And then whenever my dad was bumping the Bee Gees or country or whatever it was, that's what my musical influence was. And then my tia came through with Confunction and Kool and the Gang and all
that funk.
Yeah, I learned that bass and just be like, oh. So we all had a love for music. And then Johnny goes, yo, we should do an album. We'll call it Boondocks, the Boondocks. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So we had that name. We just started working on music.
Did he say where he got that name from?
Well, when we used to live in Atlanta, everybody used to tell us, like, where you guys from? Well, y'all from Phoenix. At first, everybody thought it was Puerto Rican, Dominican, Chaldean, or something, because we're on that side of the continent. They didn't realize, oh, you Mexican? Oh, shit, where you guys from? L.A., Phoenix? We're from Phoenix. Oh, you guys from the Boondocks. So everybody would say, you guys from the Boondocks. That was just something, that's how they talked out there. So it was like, oh, yeah, we can keep that then. So Johnny had already heard it because he had been out there for a while. So he had been hearing it too. So he's like, we can be called the Boondocks. I was like, perfect. So we did that. We started doing music, and then we did a bunch of songs up there that really just trial and error stuff, beginning to what you sound like on the mic, and first time hearing yourself on the mic and how you trip out, and just started playing with.
So this got to be like 89, 90?
This is 89, 90 because I dropped out of high school and went. I got suspended for craziness, and then I winded up just dropping out, and then went straight over there. And then I came back, and then I went back. And then I went, the second time I went back, that's when it got serious. Like he's like, yo, I think I can get us a record deal. I'm like, oh, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, dude, this is how it works. And he knew the game at that time. This is how it was. Oh, we're gonna cut this album. We'll get some distribution. We'll get some publishing. We're gonna do all this. I got attorneys. I got this. And he had it all online. He had all the ducks in a row. He knew he had attorneys already writing up the contracts. And there's honestly, bro, there's money out there somewhere that I haven't claimed. I guarantee it.
Wow.
Because of the deals we signed. The deals we signed were like with Raging Bull Records, Joseph Isgro. He was if you look up that name, bro. He's a legend in the music industry, but it was very mafia driven music industry. So they had took our catalog and they were selling it overseas, and we didn't know about it. We just were paying them to distribute the album. They didn't say where. So we didn't know when the sales came back. We didn't know.
You're 16, 17 years old.
Yeah, I was 16. I was just cool. Be driving in an Escalade. Going to parties in L.A. We recording all over in great studios. We were just out there doing it. And that was before we really did the second album. But the first album we did out in Phoenix and Glendale. We had we ended up coming back here, and we moved to everything. We built a studio off of that right there off of 59th Avenue in Glendale, like 53rd Avenue in Glendale, kind of close to where Pete's Fish and Chips is right there. Okay. We had a studio back there.
Downtown Glendale.
And we did a whole album in there. We had a whole record label. We had we signed 3 artists out of that. OG Tech 9, rest in peace. And then Nutmeg, she's still going now. But it was...
I think I still have the Nutmeg album. Or 12 inch.
Yeah, and then that was me drawing the album cover. I drew the album cover for that. And then I did...
Is that with the hand?
Yeah. And
right?
that was the logo was the hand.
Yeah,
It was Soul Sauce Recordings. And then we had then I did the Boondocks art too. So we ended up doing that album. We put it out, and it came out. We actually got it done in like 90, 91. And then by the time it really came out, it was 92. And that's when the box was bumping. Yeah. So we did the video at Zazu's.
Wow.
Is that where it was?
Yeah, Zazu's was on Camelback. And wow, what was it?
And the video version was the West Coast version, wasn't it?
It was called...
Or no.
12 Street
Soul Sauce.
Do you remember which... Because there was a remix. There was the hip hop version, and then there was the West Coast version.
I don't remember how he released that, but I think it was the West Coast version, because we had
Because I remember when I would play it at the parties, I would always play the hip hop version.
Okay, yeah, because whatever. I think
it was like more funky,
Yeah, it was on the single. It was on the single.
Yeah.
See, that's just it. I never had the single. I always just had the album thing, the 12 inch that we were giving out back in then those days promoting. We used to do
So there's a promo record around somewhere.
Yeah, and then I remember the promo record because we did a signing at our warehouse at
So if
Desert
anybody has a
Sky.
copy of that promo record, you know, you can float it to me, and I'll put it to my collection.
There you go. I think I might have to ask my mom. She might have one. But yeah, we did
Or
a
we'll
signing with
we'll float them all to
Effects.
Adam, so he's got the
Yeah,
he's got the collection, man. You know, I think I did the same thing for Atlas. I had an extra copy of Atlas's record, and he was like,
Nice.
I don't even have a copy for me. And I was like, dude, you gave me 2 records here. You
Yeah,
can have
and that's
one
what
back.
it is. That artists in general, we give stuff away, man. So
I was
that's what it
DJing at
was.
the club, and he walked in. He's like, yo, you play records? I'm like, yeah, dude. And he's like, there you go. And then like
That's dope.
25 years later,
Right? That's
I'm
crazy.
like, there you go back. And
That's crazy.
Did you guys perform anywhere, like locally? I mean, you did the video at Zazu's, right?
Yeah, we did the video at Zazu's, and then we shot Zazu's, Squaw Peak, and where else was the third location? And on South Mountain. So we got 3 shots where we were shooting
what
at
was it? Then the name of the single was
Boonside.
Boonside. So if anybody wants to check it out, I'm sure you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it's like, and then even like I look at it now, like I look at how the music industry operates now, is how people control people's lyrics. They write about this, write about that, and that was going on then too. It's like I was so influential. I was so young. I was just doing what they said. Somebody puts 10 grand in your face. You know what I mean? You're like, whoa, what do I do?
What do you want me to write about?
What do you want me to write about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was all love, but it was just like really, because like I said, I was never a gangbanger. I was never none of that, but it was just like, you need to write about these situations. I could write a story. I had a ton of influences. So a lot of the stuff I was writing about was my crazy homies. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, dude, I can never fathom what those guys go through. And it's just like, so when I'm writing from that perspective. So, and then I got put in check a couple times by some of the OGs, like, saying, using the N word. Cause back then I was, OG Tech 9 he was a Crip. So he was just like, you know what I mean? When he was just, and he had his crew and his people. And he was, when I say OG at that time, he was probably almost 40. So he had blind in one eye, you know what I mean? Just OG, cool. And he was just like, he told me one day, it's like, yo, bro, he goes, I know how you're saying it. He goes, but I'm like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? Like, kind of check me real quick. And I was like,
Yeah.
no, I get it now. But the song's already recorded. And it's already mastered. And back then it wasn't like digital; it was on tape.
Yeah.
So you know, what I mean, you ain't wasting no more tape to go back and do it. So I had my experience with that, like understanding the music industry with the people wanting you rap about things and using different languages and like vulgarity and I mean, it was just a lot of things rhyme with trigger. So you know what I mean, and that's how we were back and forth on. It wasn't crazy. It was just it happened. You know what I mean?
Growing
And it was
pain.
cool.
Growing
Growing pain. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I respect the culture. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, cool. I
Yeah.
get it now. You know what I mean? No disrespect. You won't ever hit that out of my mouth. And to this day, I don't.
I mean, you got to live and learn.
Flash
yeah,
forward,
so that's what it was. I was so young at that time. You know what I mean?
and flash forward today, it's used in like just about every song. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You
yeah,
hear-
yeah. Well, there's
and
so
that-
many people using it. But
Yeah, and it's such a derogatory word, man, that sometimes I just kind of get turned off myself from, you know what I mean? Like hearing that, you know what I mean? Even
Yeah.
for our own people, when our own people
Yeah.
call each other.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You know?
That, I see some of the little homies now. I'm like, bro. I was like, for real? Like, nah. Like, and then I just sit back and laugh. Like sometimes, you know what I mean? I don't even waste my breath because, you can't, you can't preach to the deaf, man. They ain't going to listen to you. So. But yeah, and then that led to another album, and then we wound up doing that album in L.A. and then got to record at a bunch of great studios. We recorded at Fred Durst owned the studio from Limp Bizkit, but it was Parliament's old studio. Like you walk in, it was pink furry
I was
walls.
going to say, it was a fuzzy.
Yeah,
Wow.
fuzzy walls, bro. Pink
Neon.
fuzzy walls. Like I got pictures,
all
and it was like all the
zebra
plaques on
and-
the walls. It's like crazy. We did a song with Mac 10 there,
Dope.
and yeah, that was cool.
You don't have
we-
a copy of that?
Yeah, I do. I got the copies
you?
of that. Yeah, they're just digital copies, but yeah.
I'll check it
and
out.
Then, and then I got we wound up doing a song with we recorded at a Greedy Greg studio, and that's big in the DJ Quick family. It was a barbershop / studio / whatever. I mean, dude, we wrote some great R&B hooks. Like the first album was really like that's what I was saying rough. Like I wasn't really talking about who I was. The second album, I got to say a lot more positive things and how I was feeling.
And that was the Boondocks album,
and
right?
that was the second album.
And
we,
what was
that we
it-
never
what was-
released. It was
Oh,
called
never released.
It was a Boondocks album called Desperados, and who ended up not releasing it because we had 64 songs done.
Wow.
And we never really. It was just
That's like
we're
6
so-
albums then.
Yeah, we're critical with who we were releasing and what we were saying, and that's what my buddy was really critical of himself, like how he sounded. If something sounded out of pocket, there was just those things, and how and nobody likes to get outshined on a verse, and when you do guest vocals on some things and bring somebody on. you know. So
it'd be dope to hear those, man, remastered or just
I got
brought
some.
back.
We did two. We did two
we'll
songs
have
with
to
Be
do 'em.
Real. We did.
Oh wow, word.
Yeah, we did one called Spanish Wars, and we did another one called To the Ground. And the To the Ground one actually got pressed and mixed and mastered.
See,
and
if
all
you
that.
give those to me, I'm gonna.
I got
start
actually,
playing them
I got
everywhere,
CDs
man.
of those. Actually, I got physical CDs of that one.
Wow.
So yeah, and then yeah, man, just and then I can't say, you know, I mean, it was a negative experience. It was a positive experience, even though we didn't get to release the last album. There was a lot of beef that went on between me and the homie. You know what I mean, and before he passed away, and it was just, you know, just live and learn. Like you said, it's experiences, man. We're just living
Life,
and
man.
learning.
Life just turns this way
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah.
but,
Yeah,
you know,
bro. Hey, but that's just it. It got to the point where we were living that lifestyle now. The shit we were talking about was we're living it, bro. It's
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
people don't know. It's like, man, used to be a very violent person back in the day. You know what I mean? And it's just like it doesn't need to be that way. And it was just like violence begets violence. And you know what I
Yeah.
mean, you want to when you can come down from that or come up from that low level frequency and get to these higher frequencies and focus and do great with your life. That's what it's all about. But
Yeah.
I don't think my life would have been the same if I didn't have that journey. You know what I mean?
no,
And, you know,
everything leads you to where you are today.
exactly.
That's going into my next question for you, bro. I saw some things. You coined the phrase "good energy," and once I've never heard that before. Myself, I've heard of good vibes and things like that, but when I heard that from the maestro, one of the people that inspired me, I felt that, man. So can you tell us a little bit about that, like how you got inspired for that, and just kind of like just your how you starting to work with community, having mentorship, and just kind of because there's a lot of other things that also with the shirts you're wearing with Help Others, with your hoodie program. If you could talk about the two with us.
Yeah. So the good energy was just something that like I said, if it wasn't for what I went through, I probably wouldn't be the same person. But being in different situations around different cultures and different people and all across the country, and being in the music industry, and you're talking all walks of life. I mean, I was rolling with some Jamaicans from New York. I was rolling with like cats from like Atlanta down south, and then I got the LA gangsters, I got the Chicanos, I got and you get to adapt. It's like I got a communications degree to being able to deal with all these, like the Chaldeans being in Detroit, you know what I mean, and then with all the D12 posse and all their friends, and you know what I mean, and get to know everybody else and just seeing how everybody operates. You know what I mean? The best thing you could do is be in a good mood. And that's what people always say, man, you got good energy, man. It's like, come back to the studio. They invite you back. So just to be in those situations. And it was because I was, funny. I was always in a good mood. I was happy because, you know what? I can be intimidating looking, but, I'm not going to get nowhere looking like that. If I walk in the room smiling, then it's going to be like, oh, you're going to get a lot further. First of all, I'm calm in the room, so there's no intimidation. I'd rather walk in and be smiling instead of walking in looking like a mad dog at everybody, because I can't see across the room if I'm not squinting. You know what I mean? So having one eye, I'm trying to see. People think I'm mad dog, and I'm like, no, bro, I can't see that far. I got to squint to look.
Yeah.
So
I mean, sometimes you got to be the icebreaker,
Yeah, it
sometimes
is.
you just got to be like, yo, it's all good, man.
Yep,
And then that just
and that was
changes
it.
things.
And being able to be that way, and just coming to terms with a lot of people too. They put you in bad situations, and you react in the right situation. Like, look, man, you could, whatever you're gonna do, that's God's plan. So I'm not, if that's God's plan, then it's God's plan. But as far as this energy is, we gotta be cool, man. We can't be cool. I don't need to be in this situation.
Yeah.
I'm very particular where I go. I don't try to frequent a lot of spots. I just want to show up and be appreciated, give love, give respect, and give that good energy to everybody, because it's contagious, bro. It's just
exchange good energy.
Yeah,
It is, and I can honestly say that too. Just with the word alone, and just kind of like adapting that for myself, being around other people and having that good energy, I start to feel that transfer of bad energy now. You could hear it through, I don't know, man, vibrations and tones with people. And I try to like separate myself from that, like really quick, man, because you start to feel that negative, that negativity, or that person being a pessimist. You're like, yeah, man, I'm out of here. I'd rather just have somebody telling me, man, like you've told me before, man, you shouldn't be like driving around with no AC, man. What's wrong with you, bro? You need to get that fixed out. And I'm over here telling myself, going through a hot summer, you know what I mean, sweating balls, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh man, and you know what? He's right. I go away from a dinner that we had, and I was like, he's right, man. The next few weeks, I got AC in my car. You know what I mean? That's something that, as small as it was, the good energy and the conversation and just how you just said it, like you said it to me, just started to really like change my life, man. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that. And I would say, man, just like the podcast is, where it's Misfits, Gems, and Legends, you got a few gems from you, bro, from the wall, that you've inspired a lot of artists from, that have went there and got inspired by you, man. the story of the Boondocks, Boonside. You know what I mean? And that's definitely where, you know, we'd like to see people like yourselves, friends of us, man, to be on this platform, man. And I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much.
For sure.
No, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I know we talked about a minute ago about you know, the steps we take in life lead us to where we are, and I know I talked to you a couple years ago about your nonprofit, man, and I want to like try to wrap it all up to that, because I think it's part of the story is where you were, and then, you know, I really I was really inspired by your story about your nonprofit. So can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah, for sure, man. You know what? It was it's all about giving, bro. It's all about helping others. It's just about, like, you know, it's just how many times have you've done something for somebody and you just feel good because you know they needed it, or you know they appreciated it. And then how many times have you know, somebody try to do something for you and you be like, no, I got it, bro. I'm good. Thank you. You're blocking those people's blessings.
Yeah, man.
So sometimes you just got to say, thank you. Yes.
Yes,
you know
accept.
what I mean? Like, because they deserve that feeling too. So give them that feeling, go back and forth. And, I mean, that was one of the things that's like, it's about helping others and exchanging of those energies and like being able to help somebody in a time of need. And I was watching TV. This is like 2005, and flash floods in Arizona, Apache Junction. A family of 4 loses a son during the monsoon, and they had this man on TV who was explaining himself over and over and over again. Like, I seen him on 4 different channels, him explaining what happened. Oh, my son, and this is the current got him, and the guy's hurting every time. Like he told the story. I'm like, oh, man, pobrecito, bro. I was like, why do you got to keep doing this to him? It's like, isn't there something in place just to help this dude? And that's when I got the idea, because I was originally going to call it Cruzado Caminos, Crossroads, and just being able to provide a nonprofit providing people with burial services. So like we just would donate funds to your funeral home of your choice, depending on the amount we were able to give at the time. And that's what we're getting back into, getting it all situated, because there's certain amounts, there's things that we have to do to be able to get it. We already got the 501c3, we got the tax exempt, and we're just working on how the politics, how it all works. So now we've been, really brainstorming and finding out what we got to do, finding the legalities of what it is. But we definitely want to, have a great cause to help people, man. It's a horrible situation. I was reading books on neurology studies at the time, so I understood that they were making this guy's synaptic connections continue to fire on that same memory. So it just made him worse and worse and worse. The whole point is not to have to worry about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a financial.
You got to grieve.
Yeah, it's grief. That's what it is. Just start the healing process. Not have to worry about, oh, my child just passed away, and now I got to come up with X amount of dollars that we don't have. Okay, let's get all these people together and have a car wash. And that's where it started. When we go to car washes, bro, and I'm, $5-10, sometimes 20, sometimes 100 if I got it. When I can help out like that, I'll do what I can do. And it was just, when you really nobody wants to go through that, man. Nobody. If you got kids, nobody, you already, but nobody wants to go through that, any kind of loved one. But when if there was something in place to help, that's what it's about. And that's what we want to do. We want to be able to, create the kind of funds where we can just be able to be like, hey, we want to pay for that completely. Like, people who qualify for those services. There's people who can afford it. There's people who have that tied into their life insurance policies and their work insurances and things like that. But they got to learn how to get it. But if you don't, I'm talking for the people who don't have anybody, who just, like, are dealing with somebody who has issues, and, and he's a young runaway or something like that. We be able to help.
Well, I've even heard about like some people having to wait a month to get their insurance money.
Yeah. And that's what it is.
And in the meantime, they still have to foot the bill.
Yeah, because there's a storage fee. People don't understand that. They got to keep that body somewhere. There's so many facets that come with that.
That is another option. They can at least sort of like a
it's just
like
get
a loan, I guess you would say.
No, it's not even a loan. This is all.
Well, I mean, like if I was gonna get my money, then I would just make sure to give it back to you. Because
but that's not what it's about. We're talking about having these funds available just to help.
Who
are you going to use for your? Who's doing what funeral home are you working with? Yeah. They're taking care of everything, because the people don't understand too. There's different things when you go to a funeral home. It's a business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're gonna. Hey, this is coffin A. It costs this much, but don't you think they want to be buried in coffin B? Wow. Like, they're trying to upsell everything. And it's just like, somebody's got to go in and say, hey, look, this is a package that we want to offer just to everybody who's just trying to get this behind them.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not gonna worry about
Wow.
all the extravagant. No, we just here's what's the cost. What's the hard cost for me to be able to pay for this for them? So you don't gotta wait for payment. They don't gotta wait to
Yeah.
get the money, and they can start their own process.
That's just amazing, man. For real, it's like real deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to donate, if anybody wants to help, anybody wants to help in any way at all,
Donate, support. How did they get a hold of
Just
you?
abomtheartist.com. You can hit me on my emails on there. Just respond to that, and I'll get at it. Like I said, it's still in the mix. We have to have a certain amount of funds to be able to start off to make a difference. And I mean, I don't want to come. Oh, I can afford to give 100 people $100.
No, I mean, like you said, you're getting it going. So if anybody wants to help you get it going, or just keep their eye on it, and when it's going, they want to contribute like a large amount. Like just help us, help others.
And that's what it's about. Help others, bro. That's all it's about. And just, I mean, that's the unspoken currency, man. People don't teach you about that. But if you ever feel like you're having a bad day, you're ever feeling like your life don't mean nothing, you don't ever feel like, just down and out, depressed, anxiety, anything. Forget about yourself for a minute and just go do something for somebody who needs it. See that, help that lady walk across the street. Clean that lady's windshield on the car, or help that old man pick up that groceries they can't put into the car. Do something that's going to give off that gratitude, and that's where your life changes.
Right on,
and the more you do it, and you repeat it, and you repeat it, and you repeat it, your life gets better and better.
That's
bro.
real talk.
You need an applause button.
Yep. One last thing, man, before we wrap up, because I feel that myself is just how you've inspired your son and how successful your son has become, how you've inspired him. Congratulations on his graduation currently through the Navy, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Proud Papa.
Yeah.
Proud Papa. And that's what it was too. I was telling him, because he had to struggle with the art. I go, you know what? I'm going to let you do this. You're a great artist. I'm going to help you any way I can. But he didn't need my help. And when he finally did need my help, it was to manage what he was going through. He's like, why am I throwing these shows and nobody's buying stuff, but it's such a great show? And I'm like, that's the art industry. That's the art world. That is it.
The art world.
That's
the
paying
music
your
world.
dues. That's everybody. You paying your dues.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, when it's your time, it'll happen for you. It's like, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, you got to be able to be that fish that's going down the stream, just letting everything roll off you. Like, don't let anything stop you. Just kind of, whatever. Don't take anybody's energy. Just keep moving forward, because all that matters is what you think, your dream, and who you are. Because at the end of the night, ain't nobody looking at the ceiling with you. Seeing the same exact spot. We're alone. We're born alone. We die alone. It's about the legacy we leave behind and who we're helping, because that's the energy that transpires, bro. That just transfers to everybody. You can help somebody, and they're gonna wind up being great givers, and their kids are gonna be winding up being great givers. And that's what people don't understand. I just feel like I get taken advantage of. That's when you learn how to say no. But at the same time, the people you help, don't expect the help back from them. You're gonna get it from other places.
Well, I mean,
all the energy.
You don't do stuff with an expectation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just it. People think that, I got to record this and show everybody. I'm going to go get this guy $100. Look. Like, no, that's not what it's about. No. The things you do in private, that energy flows, bro. There's energies that know it exists. Like, it's showing, it'll come back 100-fold. I guarantee it, bro. And that's just it. Everybody.
Wise words, brother.
Mm-hmm. Everybody deserves greatness. And once you realize that you are the person that's going to get their greatness by helping others, if everybody knew that, bro, everybody be doing great right now, because
everybody would be great.
Yeah. Just do your
exactly.
part,
Nobody's gonna be nothing.
Yeah.
Without.
So yo, man. So is there any shout outs, man, you want to give? Any shout out, give say love to anybody, man?
Everybody, man. Everybody. I want to give shout out to God. You know what I mean? For putting all the positive people in my life. You know what I mean? And all the people who weren't so positive, that they're going through their own situations as well. That, you know what I mean? I might not like you right now, but doesn't mean I might not like you in 2-3 years when you go through what you get through, to appreciate what kind of people you're around. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'm not going to waste my energy on a negative situation, but I'm not going to make you feel bad about it. I'm just going to exclude myself from the conversation. And, you know what I mean? That's giving a shout out to your own self, to have the wisdom to recognize those things and keeping the right people around you. You know what I mean? Love yourself 100%, bro. Because if you ain't loving yourself, if you ain't good to yourself, you can't be good to nobody else.
Exactly.
That's why I
How
tell
can you help somebody if you're walking around miserable?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I go out by myself. I do things for yourself. Like, there's no jealousy. You know what I mean? My wife, it's the greatest thing, that she just lets me go do what I want, because I have to have these experiences.
Shout out wife.
Yeah, shout out to wifey. You know what I mean? And, to do those things, to be able to go get my clarity, to realize, hey, if I'm going to bust my ass 7 days a week, I want one of those days for just me, to get my energy back, to do it all over again. And that's what I do, bro. I'll go see me at Rokuri having a steak. I'll be at Hatties.
Only you know what you need. You know?
Yeah, exactly. You know what you need, and go out and have a beer. Relax.
Yeah.
And go to the movies by yourself. Love yourself, man. That's what it's about. I shout out myself. I shout out everybody who's an individual, and they really need there's no codependency. You can't worry about somebody more than yourself. Don't be in a bad relationship where you're worried, thinking you're waiting for this person to do something for you. No, because if that person loves you as much as you love them, they're gonna do what you want them to do without having to ask for it. And that comes from being a good person. Just be a good person and give, like you said, give without wanting anything in return. Mm-hmm. Because that's the one thing, that's the balance of the universe. If you're going to be a good giver, you're going to be a good receiver, because people are going to want to do for you as well.
Don't block them blessings.
Yeah, don't block them blessings. Accept them blessings. Accept them blessings. Somebody wants to buy you a house.
That's the lesson right there.
That's the lesson, brother. So with this said, man, thank you for coming on, man.
You're very welcome, man. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your wise words,
your
man.
Contribution to the graffiti scene, just all us Phoenicians, man.
Hey, one thing, I'm gonna do my Tato story real quick.
Dude, yeah. I had it on my notes, but I was waiting.
So one year, man, I was out of the scene. I hadn't been doing music. I hadn't been doing art. And I said, I need to do something. And I guess I'm gonna have a graffiti contest. A-Bomb's first annual graffiti contest. The first annual graffiti contest.
What?
And talk about DJs. Shout out to Benny RC.
Benny RC. Shout out Benny.
He was doing these shows at the Dome underneath Grand right here.
Yeah.
And remember back in the day.
That was under the bridge.
Under the bridge. And that's what it was. And we said, you know what? Benny said I could do it there. And we ended up doing it there and having the show. I went in like the labor, bro, involved. Like going to grab the wood, painting the wood, standing everything up. Everybody had a panel to paint on. And then, groups of people, those crews out there like came in and went.
What year was this? That must have been like 95.
Yeah, close to that, like 95, because it was after the album. Yeah, so right then. And bro, it was just, I remember all these crews and people were rolling up deep. And then little Tato at the time, he was tiny, bro. He was a little dude. And he came in and he killed it. And I was just like,
he's been amazing since way back.
And I had a trophy made and everything, and I remember, and it was raining.
Did he take it?
Yeah, he won, bro. We gave it to him. I had judges. I think House was a judge. Shout out to B-Boy House.
Shout out House.
Yeah. So he was there, and then it was dope, bro. It was just great, and he won. And he tells me, he goes, you don't know what's a big influence you were, bro. He goes, I still got that trophy.
You never know, man. You never know. That's dope.
And it's amazing when I see his work, bro. It's just like I'm not saying I take any credit for anything he's done, but it's cool to be a part of somebody giving them a little tiny push. You know what I mean? And that's what it was. If that's what it got, man, it was great, because that still makes me emotional just to see him that night. And we're all in the rain, grimy, cold little kids out there painting, like kids now, but back then we think we're adults.
I mean, we talk about the stepping stones, and look where he's at now. Shout out Tato and Lost
shout
Leaf.
Out Tato, Lalo, everybody, Angel Diaz, all the artists in the community. You know what I mean? Caper, rest in peace. Caper,
rest in peace.
And Sass, rest in peace.
Yeah.
So just everybody, man. But shout out to you guys for doing this and allowing
thank you, brother,
our culture to have a voice.
Thank you.
We just want our people to be able to tell our own story,
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of our goal here, is just nobody's gonna tell it like we do.
Right, exactly.
So thank you, man. Once again, thank you.
Thank you.
So you heard it from the one, the only, the legendary Adam Bomb. Thank you for joining us on What's Good Phoenix. I'm your host, Awer.
I'm DJ Tranzo.
A-Bomb the artist.
Peace. Much love. Respect.
I don't want for nothing, man. I roll with the Lord. I'm living in abundance, so I never get bored. I'm gonna get mine, so you better get yours. Stay in my own lane, never keeping the score.
Out.
Yay.